this your 10th frame?
That was my 10th.
You get two
That was
more
my
balls.
9th. That was my 9th.
Oh.
Look at this!
First we bowl, and then we eat. That's the best part of it. I like this part. It's good stuff.
You and I had a very on-team relationship after midnight. What would happen is
Does
that...
that sound irregular? Watch it. This is a family show.
What would happen is that I'd look in the TV guide and I would see Random Harvest with Ronald Coleman starts at 3:10 a.m. And I'd set my alarm and I would wake up and go out into the living room and turn on the TV really, really quietly
Quiet.
so that no one would hear me, but my mother would hear and she'd come in to the living room and she would say, "What are you doing up? What are you, crazy? What are you watching?" And I'd say, "Random Harvest, Ronald Coleman." She'd say, "I'll get some cheese." And we'd go and we'd sit and we'd watch, and I would watch Ronald Coleman. Here's Ronald Coleman. Ronald Coleman never looked at the woman he was in love with. He would go, "If you and I would go away together." And I was practicing on her.
This was
Late
a
at
good
night.
time for us.
Yeah, it was very good. She invented mother. Every other mother has to pay $2 royalty to my mother. As far as I'm concerned, that's the truth. I never had another mother. She tell you the story about when I ran away?
Oh, no, I didn't.
I'm 16 years old. I was feeling my oats. I was a jerk. But I felt, I was like independent, and I didn't want to do whatever she
Tell
wanted me
him
to
why
do.
you ran away. I said, take out the trash. And he said,
Sounds disgusting
I'm
to
not
me.
your servant. And my husband said,
I said, "I'm not your servant." He says, "What am I?" I said, "What am I, a servant?" And my father yelled, "Yes, and you're not a very good one either."
and so the next thing I knew, he packed his things and he left.
And this was negotiated. This dispute, this conflict was negotiated by a friend of ours, Flossie, who brought us this disparate group of arguing family people together at a restaurant in Westwood. And so she was on one side of the table and I'm on the other, and Flossie's sitting there trying to get us to talk to one another. And I'm 16 and I said, "I want my independence. I want to be free. I want this, and I want you to respect my decision making. And could you lend me some money because I don't have any money to pay for my lunch." And that's when I knew that I wasn't quite ready to leave the house.
Exactly.
I waited a few months.
And he had the nerve to order a hot fudge sundae when he didn't have any money to pay for it.
I'll tell you a story. My mother, my mother, used to work in the basement of the department stores in New York. And she would sell things, little thingamajigs. Sell quarter piece, 3 for $1, quarter piece, 3 for $1. Quarter piece, 3 for $1, quarter piece, 3 for $1, and people would best pay the more money, right, whatever. A fat, funny-looking guy would stand in the back of the crowd and try to break her up because it was a spiel that would go, quarter piece, 3 for $1, quarter piece, 3 for $1, and there was the guy in the back going, okay? So later on, she says, she found out, years later, that was Zero Mostel, okay? So I'm doing a play, Fade Out. I'm doing a play in Los Angeles at what was then called the Gallery Theater. And one night, Zero Mostel comes to see the show. And he comes backstage to say, terrific show. And he comes over to me and he says, "You were marvelous. You were just I said, I have to tell you a story. My mother, 1939, 1940, was a pitchman in the basement of Macy's, and he goes, quarter piece, 3 for $1. My mother was my best friend.
Was. Did you hear that?
As I grew up, she was my best friend. She was the person I came to with my problems. She was the person I came to just to shoot She was the person I most liked talking to and learning from. I got, I think, a great ethical basis for my character from my parents. My father was more removed and more from the mountaintop, kind of, every Sunday night I would hear, But my mother was on a daily basis the person I learned about living from. And Notice that I'm not saying this to her face because her eyes would cross and the line would cross, and then I couldn't say this to her. Exactly.
You really meant that?
No, I lied. It's a whole lie.